So this is global, the FTS 123 Global Cinema, 2 sections. This is Jon Kilik. Yeah, 8:30 classes here, 9:30 classes here. No, they're just, I think, intermixed. This is Jon Kilik, Hollywood, not Hollywood, extra Hollywood producer, producer of many things, all of Spike Lee's greatest films, I think, and some that have been maybe not his greatest, but all of the greatest ones Jon has done. Cradle Will Rock, a great film by Tim Robbins. All of Julian Shawwell's films, including Diving Bell and the Butterfly, which most of you have seen. Morale, which I think most of you have seen. And last night I just saw for the first time Hunger Games, which was, I did see it, yes, it was a great film. Most of you probably have already seen it. I highly recommend it. So let me just welcome him. And it's very gracious of him to come to our class. So I thought we would just open up to questions, but I would just, maybe I'll start since the class is global cinema. The one question I wanted to, you want to sit or? Okay. Okay. I never sit. I thought it'd be interesting to talk to Jon about the difference between producing a film in the United States versus producing a film in the rest of the world. So how are there differences, or is it basically you're confronted with the same challenges either way?
Wow, jump right in.
Sorry.
Hello.
Someone else wants to ask a nice question.
No. Let me warm up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just thanks for the introduction. Going back further than the movies, I guess you probably know that I used to sit in the class too, and this is where I got my start. And it was through the film department that it wasn't really a full department at the time, just part of the College of Liberal Arts that I started taking some film classes my junior and senior year, and it really inspired me to go on and try to find a career in filmmaking. I took some production classes here, the film criticism classes, but I was poli-sci, economics, sociology major. And just with the help of the communications program, I guess that was the major that existed, I started to find something that I liked to do. And that's what I was kind of brought up thinking, that I would have a chance to pursue something I liked to do. And up until then, I really hadn't. I always liked photography and music and film and sports, and I just never thought I could actually, when it came to graduating, find a career that had something to do with any of those things. And after I graduated, I tried to went down to New York for a little bit and tried to get some work, and it didn't work out. Came back to Burlington, got a job at the CAX for about 8 months, and then went back to New York, slept on a friend's couch until I found like a PA job and just broke in that way, and I've been in New York ever since. And I've been coming back to Burlington almost every year, every couple of years, when I've had a movie, whether it's a big hit like this year or a not so big hit like last year. Everybody in town and in the classroom has been incredibly generous, and it's been great to have the conversation and to be able to share a little bit and demystify it a little bit and just talk about it. So as far as the international aspects of it, I started out just, with my fellow students making movies here. And then in New York, people who were the same age, came from the same kind of place, who were making films in college, like Spike. And we approached it the same way when we made movies like Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X. It was pretty much the film school philosophy. Like, let's just get our friends together, let's make a movie and try to be as independent from Hollywood and from corporate kind of agendas and committees as possible, and just make it homemade style ourselves. And that approach that is how I started here, just making my first little Super 8 films, and then with Spike, because that's how he started making his little Super 8 films. that's really been the kind of foundation for my whole philosophy, whether I make a movie in New York or in Morocco or Japan. You know, I've had the last few years some pretty amazing opportunities to broaden it out. You know, those first few years in New York with Spike, we were doing a lot of films in the city. And then about 8 years ago, I went off with Oliver Stone. We made a movie about Alexander the Great, and we shot in India and Morocco, Thailand and England. Then we did Babel in Japan and Morocco and Mexico. The Diving Bell was all shot in France. Miral was all shot in the West Bank and Israel. And beautiful Alejandro Inarritu's film last year with Javier Bardem was all shot in Barcelona. I did a movie with Robert Altman called Forte, Ready to Wear. We shot that all in Paris. So, you know, it just, whether it's kind of coincidence or it's how the sort of business or the art of it has evolved, but the stories seem to be broadening and crossing cultures. And, you know, I think Babel is a great, you know, reflection of not just how that's evolved in filmmaking, but it's, you know, the kind of stories that people are interested in and want to see. And, you know, that's a movie about how the little, you know, one incident in one place can have some kind of effect on people, you know, far, far away, sort of the butterfly effect, you know, the butterfly wings that can cause a tsunami halfway around the world. So it's, you know, to come out of the New York kind of hometown type of, you know, intimacy of making movies in your backyard to making them around the world, I think is, you know, both a reflection of the kind of stories that people are trying to tell, and also the kind of cross-culture of the community. We released Hunger Games around the world this weekend. It wasn't just in the US, and then you wait a month later, you release it in France and Europe, and, you know, then Asia another couple months later. This was an international release, every country just about at the same time, worldwide. And, you know, just the technology has evolved to the point where everybody wants to participate in, you know, the opening at the same time. So, you know, again, that's how the technology has evolved that way, and it seems like the storytelling has too. So it's very much international now. At the same time, you can still, you know, tell a great story, you know, in a more simple way. And, you know, the movies I make are really, you know, to me, they're the same film. They're all about people, and usually about people who are on the fringe, who don't necessarily have a, you know, big seat at the table or a voice or you know, opportunity to have kind of an equal share. So whether it's Miral and a little, you know, this young Palestinian girl last year who's in the middle of this war zone in Palestine, or Katniss Everdeen in, you know, future Panem, the Hunger Games, they couldn't be more different in terms of the success and the box office. But to me, you know, I'm always chasing that story, trying to support that kind of, you know, very personal, character-driven movie. So that's a little long-winded.
No, that wasn't. That was great. Just one note that Hunger Games, John told me last night, was actually shot on film rather than digital, which I think is relatively unusual today.
Yeah, it does seem like that's going to be, you know, more and more rare as you know, time goes on, and even projecting in the theaters.
Yeah.
Is, I think half the theaters are digital projection. So yeah, we were going to shoot it digitally. We're going to use this Alexa camera as the new digital camera they shot Hugo on, and really amazing, and it just has the grain and the texture, and, you know, just beautiful colors, and, you know, it's just, that's the new state of the art digital camera, and we were thinking about that. We were very close. We were just a couple weeks away from starting the shoot, and at the last minute, we just kind of went to the old-fashioned. And you know, Hunger Games, if you haven't seen it yet, it's very physical. We're out in the woods and you know, along rivers and climbing mountains, and you know, it was a physical shoot, and the equipment was going to take a pounding, and we just thought, you know, that this the digital stuff could, you know, short out, or you know, could have some problems, and we just, you know, those old Ariflex cameras just take anything, you know, they just get them out there in the jungle, in the heat, in the rain. It's not really going to be as much of a problem. So, and we just wanted it, again, the movie is very much a human story, and you know, we just wanted to keep it kind of old-fashioned that way, even though it's less and less noticeable. Just, you know, the difference, you could probably project, you know, side by side and have a hard time telling, but there's just something about it that, you know, we still think is a little bit of a difference.
And they shot, have you shot 1 million?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we shot a lot of footage, 1.5 million feet.
1.5 feet.
Which is like 100-to-1 ratio.
It's Kubrick-esque in terms of amount of footage. Yeah. So the other thing, I mean, I'm interested when you said that you focused on the margin, like your interest is on the marginalized, because in a lot of the films that we've seen, that comes to the fore, and I think that's, I mean, that seems to really, like that I think that is a recurrent theme. We watched in this class Battle of Algeria.
Battle of Algiers.
Algiers, yeah, sorry. And 3 of the directors that you've worked with, they have a little documentary on the DVD, and they talk about the importance of that film.
Yeah, that's a real touchstone for a lot of the filmmakers I've worked with. And, you know, the director of Battle of Algiers used to run the Venice Film Festival. You know, I love that movie. For me too, it was something I saw.
So for you,
late.
even it was
Yeah, I didn't see it until after I graduated. And yeah, it was pretty amazing. So I got to know him a little bit, and he was just so nice to me, and just really encouraging. And you know, I mean, that's the kind of thing that I just get such a good feeling from. You know, they were asking last night the box office success and Oscars or whatever, but it's the recognition from people that you really admire that is, you know, and that kind of encouragement.
He was in popular.
Yeah, he passed away.
2007?
Yeah, I guess. Really nice guy. Didn't make a lot of other.
I know, he made like 5 films. It's very strange.
Yeah.
I read that he said that unless I fall in love with the project, I can't make it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was great. And the music in that movie, we actually used some of it in Before Night Falls, and Julian Schnabel's second film about Ronaldo Renes, a writer, persecuted and died in prison in Castro's Cuba. And we used some of the music from Battle of Algiers, and then the editor who cut Hunger Games was the editor who we used on Morale and Diamond Bone Butterfly, and she brought the music that we used on Before Night Falls and put it in a rough cut. You know, you do like temp music in the beginning, and she used some of that Morricone music from Battle of Algiers and Before Night Falls in the Hunger Games in the first cut. And the director, Gary Ross, wow, that's, you know, he didn't recognize the music from either film. And I said, oh no, I can't listen to this in this movie, not after the other 2. Yeah. But it's the scene. How many of you guys saw the movie already? Wow. Well, the scene when, right after the reaping, when Katniss and Peeta are in the car with Effie and they're driving off to the train to be taken away to the Capitol. The sound kind of pulls out. They're both in the car, they're tight, and they, you know, Peeta is looking really scared, Effie's talking to them, oh, the capsule is gonna be, we'll be there. And then her voice starts to kind of